There's two types of people who tried to help me. The first type, the most common type, the ones who want to promise that they're going to look at evidence and help me turn it in. And I do everything I can, thousands of hours overall, between all these people to get them that evidence, because they can only do it over the internet even if they're only 50 feet away. They insist on doing it in a way where they're not in the same room as me. No matter what, they're too busy to hear it, or there's always some story they gotta tell. If these people would listen to how they treat me when I go to them for help, and then I want them to imagine that it's not me coming to them with this issue, it's their daughter. Okay? If your daughter was going through this, would you fucking treat her this way? No, you wouldn't. The first type of people are the ones who promise and then procrastinate. And eventually it gets to the point where on the very day that you can do something, what do? You make excuses. You're fine the rest of the time. You can talk all the rest of the time because you want to talk about yourself and your opinions and in many cases your conspiracy theories. But when it comes to listening to me, no, you can't do that. When I follow the instructions that I'm supposed to and you tell me you understand, the very things that you don't need to be read those things, that's not how you'd fucking treat your daughter, is it? You know exactly what to do. If your daughter says, hey mom, I was just fucking raped, the cops are treating me like I'm schizophrenic and delusional. Instead of taking a rape kit, they took me to a mental hospital or took me to the regular hospital and told them that I was schizophrenic and delusional. I want you to think about that. I want you to put that in perspective. Are you going to blow her off because you're all of a sudden sick because you don't feel like it? You just don't feel like turning it in with her. You just don't feel like listening. You just don't care. That's what it comes down to. You just don't care. You want to talk about yourself. You want to make me feel like shit because you didn't keep your word. That's the first type. And at the end of it all, it's always something that comes down to let me calm down. After 6, 8 months of blowing me off with empty promises and I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm still having to take the assaults, I'm still having to deal with the threats, I'm still having to deal with police trying to wrap me up for trying to tell on them. And these people who every single opportunity that they had to keep their words, they fucked it up. And seems very, very, very highly likely that they did so intentionally. It would have been better if they had never pretended to care to begin with. And at the end, they say, after 6, 8 months, they're like, well, I don't understand why you still need my help. I don't understand why you can't just let it go. It's in the past. Because all of that stuff affects my future. That slander and that abuse that the police and the Bollingers pulled, all of the stuff that they pulled in those Natalie Bollinger groups to have me targeted by using slander, by twisting my words into something they weren't. Did I twist Natalie's words into something they weren't? No, I didn't. You can see that I didn't have to twist her words because I didn't put words in her mouth. I proved with evidence that came from her in her own words. And when she wanted to tell people that I was mentally ill and that she was trying to fix it and not to listen to me, I was spreading slander all over the internet. Oh, you mean her words? Her words. Her words to me in emails. Her words to me in Facebook Messenger. Her words to me on Facebook. Her words to me in telephones. Now, there's one thing I can 100% guarantee. At all the supposedly mean stuff that was supposedly typed, I can guarantee you 100%. If you go to Cricket, who the telephone is through from, well, at least October 16th of 2016 to November 16th of the very same year, I can guarantee you 100% that that telephone and telephone number are in Alicia Bollinger's name. So let's go to the second type. The second type are the Johnny on the spotters. These are the ones that also aren't going to look at evidence. They might look at one little piece and then they want to jump to a bunch of conclusions and they want to do a bunch of stupid shit half-cocked without thinking about it first or finding out all of the information. If there's already a roadblock with the Sheriff's Department, because I've already been assaulted repeatedly by Sheriff's Department employees for trying to turn in threats, harassment, and intimidation, and of course, attempts to have me misdiagnosed by the Police Department and Sheriff's Department. Recordings of Sheriff's Department employees physically assaulting 13-year-old girls and then coordinating with that girl's obvious predators, her parents, and TFCC, to have that girl put on suicide watch. She was trying to turn in abuse, and her friends who were with her tried to speak up that she was trying to turn in abuse, that she had to flee her own home because of abuse, physical abuse. See, that second type, there ain't a lot of those, but some of them are the first type who eventually see it instead of just talking over you. Eventually they see it and realize what an issue it is. But then at that point, they just want to Johnny on the spot it. They haven't looked at any evidence. They haven't heard your story to understand. They've heard your story to interrupt it repeatedly. They've jumped to a bunch of conclusions, and you have to show them with evidence that, hey, you need to stop jumping to the conclusion without looking at the evidence, because really what you're doing is treating me like shit, and that's all you're doing. Once you see a video and you go, oh, you're not a liar, and then you want to argue again. I'm like, I don't need you to Johnny on the spot everything for me and cure all of my diseases and fix all of the world's problems and all of this. Stop volunteering. The first thing we need to do is make a checklist, but they're incapable. Now, in most of these groups, and this really sucks, but the majority of those people are drug addicts and or alcoholics. That is real. That is verified by actual evidence, by actual recordings and their own admissions with these people that I had to go to for help. I'm not saying that I'm having to go to drug addicts for help because I'm, trying to trash people's name. I'm saying it because they have particular behaviors. The drug addiction thing, it shuts off the part of your brain that makes it so that you can even comprehend what somebody else is telling you. And then there's the people who made a mistake and they act like that. They act like their brain is that out there. What I said and the context that I said it in versus what was stated and allowed in court without even a shred of evidence is just disgusting. Then there's all of the things that I was forced to do, coerced into doing while under a state of duress due to threats against my friends and family and the people who were trying to help me. Not one of them ever helped me to turn it in. Not one ever. Don't tell me people are threatening to kill you because you're trying to help me. And then let me be treated like I'm schizophrenic and delusional by the police and the courts. That is not okay. That is disgusting. That is inhuman behavior. Don't tell me you're a Christian if you're going to do that. That's not what Jesus would have done. No matter what I say, you're going to try to twist it into some schizo delusion unless you look at evidence. It also just so happens that the papers that I'm given with instructions to follow, as well as the instructions that I've been given by attorneys, are actually real easy. In order for you to help a victim, you have to listen to them tell their story all the way through without interruption. I've been through so much abuse, that's not going to be possible. But we can get you enough information for you to understand. My evidence shows that despite the fact that police did have access, were offered access, granted access, and handed access to all of this information and all of this evidence, in all of those situations where I tried to turn it in, I was sent in circles. While my friends and family continued to let me know that people were threatening to kill them and their friends and family over and over and over and over again to this day. Well, till yesterday, I haven't gone out today to listen to anybody tell me about how Andrew Wolnitz is threatening them again, or still, or how Chris Stafford has done this, or how they're aware that Massimo Vijan has at least 2 firearms. I already knew that. There's a reason I was afraid of that whole situation. There's a reason that I was worried for my evidence, but I couldn't find anybody to take it seriously, especially after the Stormy situation, and God, it got volatile after that. You've already gotten to see evidence of what people were doing, what they were sending me while that recording was going on, telling me that I was allowing that to happen to those women, that I was taking part in that human trafficking. No, I wasn't. I was recording it live in the hopes that one of those people who wanted to obviously mention Natalie Bollinger in that. The reason that I post it live is so that you can turn it in, because they're not going to let me. They're not going to let me turn it in. The police aren't going to let me turn it in. TFCC isn't going to let me turn it in. Northwest Senior and Disability Services isn't going to let me turn it in. Adult Protective Services isn't going to let me turn it in, neither is CARE. They're going to play a bunch of head games so that they and their friends can destroy all of the evidence that I tried to turn all of this stuff in. That they lied about what I told them. If they get to destroy their body camera evidence, then it's their word versus mine. They have badges and positions of trust. And they refuse to look at actual evidence. They refuse to look at any of the medical stuff that shows that some people in the medical profession actually looked, such as Dr. James Pekanu of the Oregon State Hospital. as well as Dr. Leslie Carter, who, as well as Dr. James Pekanu, is a certified forensic psychologist and forensics evaluator for the state. Oh, also, there's Morgan Beckman as well, Dr. Morgan Beckman, who is also, he's the man in charge at the Oregon State Hospital. All of these people say I'm not schizophrenic or delusional. And that right there is what all of these court dates and court cases have based their decisions to take away all of my rights as a human being, all of my constitutional rights, all of my legal rights, because they chose to believe my predators and chose to help those predators by looking the other way, by allowing those predators to use these Natalie Bollinger groups and organize the destruction of my Facebook, the destruction of evidence, repeated threats, harassment, intimidation, not just towards me, but towards the people who are offering to help me. Repeatedly threatening people into moving, forcing them to move. Instead of arresting the person who assaulted us, you tell us just to stay away from them, just to avoid them, just to go the other way. No, they assaulted me. Okay? They should be the ones going the other way. First of all. Second of all, I have never, ever, not ever once approached my predators. In every single one of these videos, you can see that they are approaching me. They are targeting me. They are harassing me. And these gung-ho people aren't trying to understand. You got to look at the evidence. And the people who want to be patient, they want you to be so patient, eventually they're going to look at it. After 8 months, obviously they're not going to look at it. If it was your daughter, you would have done something immediately. What a piece of shit.